So in 2020, I built the 91 octane race car. In 2021, I climbed the HPDE ladder. Now in 2022, well, that obnoxious montage that lets you know an answer to the caption of this video. I definitely didn't bite off more than I could chew. But let's take it back to TT5, which is the class that I'm running in. So that is a power to weight ratio class. So I had to make sure I'm balancing the weight of the car and the power of the car, which means weighing the car and dynoing the car. The only thing that really counts against me are the RT660s, which are the tires, and also I have upgraded camber arms in the rear to let me get a little more camber. But now that we've got rules and paperwork out of the way, it's time to get the car ready. Obviously, right? We're not going to be able to have a good event if the car is not prepped for it. So let's go. I was literally late to everything. I got out of the driver's meeting and then went over straight to tech inspection. I hadn't even unloaded the car yet, so as soon as I arrived, I started figuring all this out. I hadn't taken my car off the trailer, so I had to take the car off the trailer, then head over to tech inspection and get cleared there. Now it was time to head straight to where I was actually parked, make sure to do my final checks on the car, strap in, get harnessed in, put my helmet on and head out to the track. So I actually headed out to my first session. It had already started by the time I got there. And so I go out on my out lap, I get one out lap, and then I get one of the lap after that before a Mustang blows the motor and puts oil all the way down turn one, ahead of turn one at Big Willow. Which means that the whole session is essentially burned. This session was the one that I was going to use, to kind of dial everything in. I'm on new tires. I have no experience with the RT660, so I'm trying to figure them out still. I'm trying to get comfortable. This is my first competition so far, and it's proven very difficult. So now I've lost that session, which fortunately didn't count towards times, but now I've lost a session to kind of get everything dialed in for the actual competition sessions. I was very nervous going in, being the first competition. I'm not gonna lie, the nerves were kind of in play for sure. And it was made obvious by the fact that I was almost the first one on grid prior to the session. There was, I think, one other car there, and they told us to line up fast lane and slow lane. I was the lead in the slow lane because honestly, I didn't know how I, stacked up against the other time trialers. All the classes run together, TT6 to TT Unlimited. So it's hard to gauge, right, who is gonna be faster than who. So I wasn't really improving. I was feeling uncomfortable. I wasn't feeling confident in the tire. It just wasn't looking good, and I didn't think I was really putting down anything competitive. at least for me. I mean, if I'm a second off my PB, I figured, yeah, I'm probably not podiuming at this point. My tires were rubbing aggressively. The 660s run really wide, and I do have shea fenders in the rear, and they're rolled in the front, but even then, I was rubbing a lot, and to the point where it was even going further than half of the sidewall in some cases. I am gonna move to stiffer springs later, but on the suspension that I have now, I was rubbing a lot. So on top of not feeling comfortable with the tire, on top of the rubbing issues, you know, this is kind of really messing with the confidence. Despite all that, we're here to compete. So heading into the third session, it was just kind of like, you know, fuck it, let's just do it. Let's just go for it. We're gonna send it, as they say, and then just see what we can do. I'm still not feeling comfortable about the rubbing on the tires, but I figure one more session, we figure it out, and then we decide after that point what we're gonna do. At this point, now that we have actual times registered from the previous session, we actually grid up by time, which creates the advantage that now I don't have to fight traffic when we go out to do our sessions. So I'm essentially not burning the first 2 laps making space. And I was actually 15th at about 30 cars, which is pretty good overall. So we're lined up on grid, waiting to go. You know, I'm kind of just trying to get my mind right through everything. And it's essentially just telling myself, just work on the fundamentals, push as much as you can. At this point, I've done this long enough to where I'm comfortable if I lose the rear end a little bit, you know, I'll be able to catch it if I come around. So just telling myself that if something does happen, I'll be able to catch it and I'll be fine. So I can really kind of get myself past that limit that I'm coming up on or came up on in the previous sessions. I was reliant on the 135.49 to kind of hold, and there was another session left. So not only could the current session drivers improve on their times, much like I did, therefore bumping me off podium, they also had a chance to best me again on the next session, which I was thinking I wasn't really going to do because of the rubbing I was having. It just didn't feel safe to keep going. But the competitor in me wanted to keep going. So I actually loaded the car up onto the trailer to make sure I didn't run the last session and really just crossed my fingers. The last session in TT5 is literally the last half hour of the day from 4:30 to 5 o'clock. I'm kind of halfway hoping that really the guy that's fighting in my heels at this point also doesn't run. But it's been a good contest, right? It's been an anxiety-riddled contest, just kind of pushing those times tenths of a second to kind of switch those leads. He was in the lead after the second session. I was in the lead after the first session. Now after the last session, who was it going to be? At this point, I felt comfortable. I was going to secure a podium, so now it was a matter of who was going to be first. I did wait until session closed before calling it, so session was called over, waved the checkered flag, and I had taken the #1 spot. So in my first session, my first competition session with NASA, we were lucky enough to take first place. So 91 Octane is now a first place podcast.